Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay, the number one source for competitive Legends of Runeterra news and information. If you're looking for the best decks to play right now, be sure to check us out on Twitter at Master Runeterra or in our Discord. And if you want to take the next step in leveling up your game, check out our Runeterra team on Patreon, where we do weekly learning calls and one-on-one coaching. Now strap in and grab yourself some Boro snacks, because we are about to start Mastering Runeterra.
Welcome back to the Mastering Runeterra podcast with Jay and Bay. We've got a fantastic show for you today. First, though, before we get into everything, we have to thank our Patreon members, all of our patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. Seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. You let us do all this cool stuff that we do, like make a brand new content website that we'll talk about in a second.
Should be live by the time this goes live, right?
Also, yeah, it's live. Also, thank you to our sister podcast, Runeterra Radio. Saucy Lovins are amazing. If you want more Runeterra content, Runeterra content, also go check them out. YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, all the usual places. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about.
If they want to check the content website, what is it?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get to it. I wanted to talk about the meat of what we're talking about. We got an announcement about organized play, so we're going to give our thoughts on that, and then we're going to delve deep into what I think most people want to hear about. Our thoughts on sort of the meta right now, popular decks, which decks we think maybe people should be bringing to Seasons, should not be bringing to Seasons, how they slot into lineups, why you would want to play them, what you would want to be banning, that sort of thing. But before we do that, we got some announcements. So thing number one, we have two tournaments this weekend. Tomorrow is an EU tournament for $300, single elimination, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern, communitygaming.io, so where you can sign up, or check us out in the Discord. You can find the links there too. And then Sunday, we have a $500 America's Shard tournament starting at 10 a.m. Pacific. So that would be 1 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you go sign up for those. More awesome tournament stuff coming down the pipe as well. Super excited to get that stuff fleshed out and share that with you guys. And then most exciting of all, MasteringRuneterra.com officially launched this morning. So this is going to be a strategy and news, entertainment website, everything Runeterra, basically. You can find our podcasts on there, our videos. We've got deck list guides. We've got like 20 or 30 writers. So we have deck guides, opinion pieces, the whole gambit, basically. We want to be like a one-stop shop for Runeterra. We're going to have new content coming out daily, so make sure you come back, check it out. So again, MasteringRuneterra.com. Hope you guys enjoy it. We just launched it. We're going to be, iterating on it, making it better and better for you guys as we go. Super excited for it. Okay. So, Bay, what do you say about this latest announcement from Riot? If anyone hasn't seen this, go check it out at playerruneterra.com. Titled "What to Expect from Competitive Play," where they basically give us a little bit of an update on where they're at with competitive.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't read it, the general gist is that seasonals are continuing for now, but worlds, or as they put it, the premier. I'm looking for the exact wording they use. I can't find it. The premier competitive event, which was Worlds, will be changing. They are going to be revisiting it and kind of rebuilding it. And so we can expect more about that in 2022. And so for right now, ladder performance and seasonal performance does not work towards an invite to this future tournament, which is a pretty big deal for us competitive players. means we kind of get to take a little bit of a break from the like full grind and everything, right? I don't have to worry about getting like top 10 on the ladder to like try to get a world spot or anything. Seasonals, while it still matters for like, the prestige and possibly money, it's less relevant than seasonals previous. So that happened, and then they're talking about thoughts on ranked, about how there's a disconnect between ranked play and the tournament play, and how they're looking for ways to kind of bridge that gap, but says they might be a while before they have a solid update. They said look for more information early 2022. And just some other stuff about how they're going to look more closely at seasonals and Gauntlet to see how they can make it a little bit. I think they use the word sustainable. They want to make the seasonals more sustainable, which could mean a multitude of things. Could mean lower prize pools, unfortunately. Could mean smaller player pools, which I wouldn't hate if they had a another like entry level esque tournament into competitive, because like seasonals right now is kind of the entry level tournament. We just have seasonals and worlds, so it's like seasonals is basically like a Grand Prix for people who qualify, and then worlds, right? So like if you want to if you want to take seasonals from like this many people to like this many people, then you have to have something else over here that people can like kind of dip their toes in. You know what I mean? And I think we've talked about this. I think that Gauntlet could be a way to do that if you make it less of like a for fun thing and have some stakes and maybe make it a little bit more of a competitive event.
Yeah, I totally agree. I like that they touched on almost everything, I think, that we in the competitive community have kind of brought up as like pain points or, things that we thought could be done better. And this is like a massive overhaul. It sounds like they are looking at competitive from the ground up, right? Like the ladder, seasonals, worlds, how everything is tied together. So to properly implement like a large organized play ecosystem, like that takes a lot of time and planning and resources. So I kind of like that they did this. I like that they're, taking their time basically. And I hope that they just like knock it right out of the park, which that's kind of what we've come to expect from Riot, right? Mm-hmm. That they're very good at planning, and they're very meticulous, and then they typically do a very good job. There's not a lot of like, knee-jerk reactions like we see in some other games. Magic.
Is that our annually or our weekly scheduled jab at Wizards? I think you do that same thing every time, where it's like, I'm not going to name any names. WotC, Wizards, Magic. I
don't know what you're talking about.
In every show.
I don't know what you're talking about. Those are legitimate coughs. So I mean, they could have just kept going with the same system, right? They could have just been like, hey, another season, it's qualifying for Worlds, all the same stuff, because that's typically what happens. And they did it, and I'm for one,
I'm happy about that.
I'm happy that they're taking their time. Now it's just like, please crush it. Please come back to us at the beginning of 2022 and just be like, look at all this.
Yeah, and it'd be very nice to have okay, here's all the things, right? Like, here's what you can expect from this year. Because last year, like, it was being developed as it was kind of coming out, right? So, like, we didn't...
On the fly, kind
of,
yeah.
And that was tough for us. So it'd be really nice to be like, okay, here's the premier competitive event. It's over here. Here's all the ways you qualify. Here's the things leading up for it. Here's the other tournaments. Here's how Gauntlet's going to work. Right?
Yeah,
like,
a whole system. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, they could have tried to do it right now, and it would have been like
a rush.
They would have been a rush. There would have been lots of stricts. There's so many moving parts when you're
probably would have had to go back
a
and
massive
change things.
Ecosystem like this. Yeah. There's like, again, Magic did this where they just threw out some things. They're like, this is how it's going to work. And then like, well, this doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense, and this qualifies you to nothing. And like, and they're like, and this is too convoluted and people don't understand it. They're like, okay, just kidding. Back in the box, shake it up. This is how it works. And I was like, nope, still. So they could have done that, right? They could have been like, okay, we still got seasonals, we still got worlds. Okay, maybe we'll just jam a best of 3 ladder in there and like, try to like just snap one thing in after another. But I think that's where you end up with the results, like with what we saw from Magic Organized Play over the last 2 years.
We have to backtrack and change things,
which has been so detrimental. It's the reason you guys are hearing this podcast right now, because Bay and I both came over because of it. So I like that a lot of people came out against this. A lot of people were very upset. Obviously, we also want more information, right? We want to know right now. We don't want to wait until next year. We want it now. But unfortunately, things take time, especially if you're going to get them right. If you're going to hit home runs, you need to take that time. And it's not only organized play, right? They're talking about redoing ladder, how that gets funneled in, where that matters. So it's the whole damn thing. It's just everything that they have to consider and see where it all slots in. And that's going to take time. And I have faith in them. It's a lot of very smart, dedicated, hardworking people. And I believe that they're going to, go into the lab basically with a pen and a pad and bang this thing out. Because, this is organized play is a big draw, right? I'm interested to see what the PvE stuff they have. By the way, if anyone doesn't know, they have a bunch of huge PvE stuff. Do you know what it's called? It's mega.
So they have. They called it a major PvE
expansion
thing. Yeah, expansion. I think it was, and then they also have a mega event.
That's where the mega
or
thing
something.
came from.
Which
So that's going to be really interesting to see how that goes, because a lot of people like the labs and a lot of other stuff.
I think labs was insanely good. We talked about this on the previous podcast with Swim. I think labs was the single best way of bringing in new players. The PvE content, Lab of Legends was so good for casual players.
Yeah, so they have their hands tied with that because that's all launching at the end of this year. So there's still lots of Runeterra stuff coming, even though it's maybe not competitively focused.
It's not the stuff that we're super into, but that's fine.
Yeah, so obviously we want to see it. We wanted to see all the competitive stuff right now, but I think I would much rather them wait and just freaking nail it. Just knock it out of the park with just a fantastic ecosystem that will sustain us for years to come, than have it right now. And so I think people need to realize that we're doing some delayed satisfaction here. It's gratification. Satisfaction. So yes, it sucks waiting until the beginning of next year. We want stuff right now, but it gives them the time that they need to just get it right, and that's really exciting. I'm really excited for what comes at the beginning of next year, because frankly, I think it's going to be fantastic.
I imagine it probably will be. I was very impressed with the general system of seasonals and worlds, considering it was kind of made up on the fly. And there were some problems with worlds and stuff, and there were some things I wasn't super happy about. But for the most part, I was very positive on the entire system, and that was something they just kind of came up with as it was going. So if they have some time to like sit back and think about it and, like you said, build it from the ground up, they kind of know how the game works now. They know what to expect from the competitive scene more or less. So I think it will be, I think it will be really good. Yeah.
I'm really excited for it. So speaking of more competitive stuff, first off, playing our tournaments this weekend. If you haven't registered already, communitygaming.io. Second off, Seasonals is next weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
Wild? You know what, how funny is it though that let's see, it's October. Seasonal started I guess at the beginning of the year.
Seasonal started December, right?
Yeah, I think the first one was in December.
Mm-hmm.
But remember back, I don't know, when you won the second one and the third one, before we had Worlds, it was still a huge deal. Seasonal
was a huge deal. It was the biggest tournaments we had. Yeah.
Yeah. And trying to win 10K and be a seasonal champ, that was a dream.
That was it, man.
And
now it's a little less, yeah.
And now Worlds is gone, and everyone's like, I
mean, I just got to play a seasonal just to play seasonals?
Just to try to win $10,000? 4 different regions? Mm-hmm. I want $10,000.
I think if the prize pool was flattened out for top 32, it'd be a little different. But top 32 is worth $150. And then you get fourth and you get $800, which is not nothing. But 4th out of 1,000 plus people for $800 is like, you know?
Yeah. The thing is, they do it like 3 or 4 times over, right? How many seasons do they have?
It's 4. It's 4 different ones, yeah.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I mean, let's be real. We all want more money. You're right, though.
Yeah.
Like, it
like
feels like first or nothing.
Them having first place prize.
Make it
and
5K.
Dumping it to the rest, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't spread as well to the bottom, right?
No.
Like, if you add an extra $100 to the 16 that get out immediately, that's already $1,600. But, yeah, I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there, because it literally feels like first place gets some money, and then everyone else gets, like, a little consolation prize.
Mm-hmm.
What does second get?
Second gets a decent amount. It's like a 3,600 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't get
worst.
second. I get first, or I lose immediately. Those are the only options. No, I think there was one seasonal
That's
where
the way to do it,
I
though.
went 1-1 in top 32.
Hedeke's top 4 3 times, got
poor
800,
guy.
800, 800. Not even as good as 1 second place.
I think I went top 32 first, top 32, top 16. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, seasonal's coming up. I'm kind of liking that the pressure's off. Like we were talking about before, everyone's getting a little burnt out and stuff. When it like counts for so much, like when we were trying to qualify for Worlds, I didn't dare go outside the box. You know, I just wanted to play decks that were safe, that were powerful, because I was so scared. I was afraid of just bombing out of one and just being done on like seasonal.
Yeah, and done on your Worlds run. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this time I'm definitely going to be having a little bit more fun.
Oh yeah,
I think a lot of people will, frankly. But let's jump into the seasonals. So we just had a tournament last weekend with all 4 of the top 4 decks had Poppy Ziggs, and then 3 of them were the exact same lineup, which was Poppy Ziggs, Scion Draven, and
Pink City.
The Pink City.
Twist of Fate Gangplank deck, yeah.
Yeah. With Deech winning out of the 4, shout out Deech, with Sejuani Gangplank.
Plunder.
So Plunder.
Poppy Ziggs.
Poppy Ziggs and Action Sivir as his third deck. So, yeah. I mean, I knew these decks were like, they were getting popular on the ladder and stuff, but let's talk about it, because this is a lot different than what we saw at Worlds, what everyone was bringing. Like, where is the Zoe Nami decks?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the Darkness decks? Where are the Shelfo decks? Where the list goes on and on. So I'll throw it to you. Why do you think we're seeing this huge rise of burn decks? Are they just like actually just more powerful, or is it like a meta shift, or like what's going on here?
Well, there's not a lot of actual life gain in the format right now. You only have Zoe Nami, which is an
Rip
easy
Targon.
ban if you're running that lineup. Like you're running Ping City, Draven Scion, and Poppy Ziggs. That's the lineup we're going to focus on mostly, I feel like, because it was the most popular and the most well-performing overall. If you're running that lineup, like, I think Poppy Ziggs can beat Zoe Nami pretty consistently, but like Draven Scion and Ping City cannot, because like you just can't deal with the Sparklefly. A Sparklefly that ends up with 4 health is just game over for like both of those decks.
That makes sense.
And so you just ban it. And then what decks gain life? None of them. They don't exist. There's like no popular decks in the format right now that have life gain. So these decks are just like allowed to run over a lot of things like Draven Caitlyn. These like TF Swain, the mid-rangey control style of decks, because they don't present a clock that's quick enough to outrace the burn that you're dealing / drawing. And if they can't heal up, 1 damage at a time adds up to be a lot. It's a little different. If I have star shaping and you pokey stick my face, I really don't care. But like, if I have no way of healing, not only do I have to like take no damage from your units if I can, I also have to kill you fast enough to stop you from drawing the burn. You have inevitability, not me, right? And that's, I think, what makes these burn decks so powerful. And so perhaps I think we will see a shift this weekend into decks with more healing or that can deal with the burn package a little more efficiently. I expect to see things like maybe some Targon piles kind of coming back. Zoe Poppy is something that I have been seeing people bring. I don't know where they have it.
Oh, interesting.
Very similar to She Who's Zoe Heimer list from Worlds. Feel the Rush is kind of coming back. Me and a couple other players are very high on Zoe Lee right now because Eye of the Dragon is just so incredibly strong at the moment, which is funny because 2 months ago it was like unplayable. So yeah, I think we'll see decks rise to combat it this weekend. I'm excited to see what that looks like, though.
Yeah, well, what I found to be true is that a lot of the decks, like these Targon piles, stuff like that, like, yeah, okay, maybe you can beat the burn decks, but then you lose to all the stuff that used to be good, like at Worlds. You lose to like Scion Draven, you lose to maybe Draven Caitlyn.
Yeah, a lot of the Targon decks beat the Draven. They can lose to Scion Caitlyn, and then you lose to like every Poppy deck because Poppy plus Rally is just like
Scion Draven. I think you said Scion Caitlyn. I was like, is there a new? Is there a third one?
It's new. No, the Targon decks tend to beat Draven Scion, I feel like, but can struggle with Draven Caitlyn because Draven Caitlyn packs that more. Like Draven Scion's way more all in on Scion, right?
Hush.
And if you play Hush and Sunburst and other things that remove Scion, then he's way less good. And a lot of the Targon decks right now are running the 2/3 bird for 2 that Daybreak stuns, which is also very good answer to Scion. Whereas Draven Caitlyn has things like Tri-Beam and more targeted removal spells. It plays the game a bit better. It doesn't rely on that one big thing to close it out. So like if Sunburst is a lot worse when you have to use it on their 3-mana champion, right? So yeah, that's my take on that. And then the Poppy decks, I think, just run over these Targon piles.
Yeah,
it's just you just can't deal with things efficiently enough because now with Mayor, they just go wide so fast, and then they attack, they rally. Sometimes they play Ranger's Resolve or whatever to make your removal spells even worse. So yeah, I think you'll see something that I'm interested in. So where I'm leaning right now with my lineup is I want to play Zoe Lee and I want to play Shellfolk. These are decks I really enjoy. And these are decks I think are pretty good. Shellfolk's a very strong deck that has been not doing very well on ladder recently, but I think it's just like a really hard deck to play. Zoe Lee.
How does it do into that burn lineup?
Shellfolk?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not fantastic.
Like 45, 55 kind of thing?
Yeah, it's fine. And then Zoe Lee does very well. Zoe Lee is probably the single best deck against Scion because you have Eye of the Dragon to just block forever and continuously gain life. And then you have Hushes, Palm, and Will to deal with Scion. And then Lee Sin, which is basically uninteractable.
Yeah, that matchup feels like a free win almost.
It kind of is, yeah. It kind of is. And then
what about the more dedicated burn decks? Poppy Ziggs must be difficult.
For Lee?
Yeah. You don't think
so? Or
Shellfolk? For Lee.
Oh, no, you just play Eye of the Dragon.
You just play It's that easy.
You just play Eye of the Dragon. You just play 2 copies of Eye of the Dragon. They're never keeping up. Yeah. It's really good. The card's really good. That's been my experience, at least. I haven't played a ton. I've been focusing mostly on just like playing new random things and making YouTube videos out of it and stuff. Like you said, I'm not going to take the seasonal incredibly seriously. That doesn't mean I'm not going to play well. I'm going to show up as well as I can, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time preparing. I mostly just want to have a good time, play the decks I want to play. Those of you who listen to every single podcast know we talk about it. The last couple months were an absolute grind for us competitive players, especially us that made it into like World's Top 16 and stuff. It was just, I think, 3 months for me because I went seasonal top 32, Worlds top 16. It was like 2.5 months maybe of just testing and grinding every single week.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was brutal. And then on top of that, trying to release content every day and all that kind of stuff, it was very tough. So I needed a break, and this is a break, and I'm going to take it. So yeah, going to show up, going to play hard. I think I'm going to bring Shellfolk Lee. The third deck is still up in the air. I might bring Feel the Rush because I think it fits into what I'm trying to do, which is ban Poppy, beat the PNZ Noxus decks.
Yeah, okay. Talk to me a little bit about Feel the Rush. That was my first real deck that I ever played.
Yeah.
So it's got a special place in my heart. I've always tried to make it work. It has not been good in quite a hot minute. Why is it good now, or at least okay? I haven't seen it on the ladder really at all.
No, it loses very hard to the Poppy decks, very hard. But the deck is pretty good. Like Avalanche, Blighted Ravine, these are all in pretty good spots right now. And then there is, I don't know if you've noticed, there are no denies in the format, period. Right? Like, unless you're up against Zoe Lee.
There are some aloof travelers, however.
There is aloof travelers, and aloof can be quite good. But the way the format is right now, you can kind of win with just like a level Trundle. You can just kill them, right? And if you're super scared of aloof travelers, I would recommend putting in something like on Ledros as well, just an extra win condition, right? That way you can't get aloofed out. Because when I played it, I won a lot of games just by going like, Tryndamere, attack you, throw him at your face. Like, right? Yeah, you may have aloofed my Fielder Rush, but this is a big boy, and he's hitting really hard. And so if you can get to the point where you can control the game, I think, yeah, like adding one Ledros is like totally fine. Adding one Ledros to She Who's list is what I'm referring to.
Gotcha. How does Fielder Rush do against the burn lineup?
Very good.
Yeah, I guess so. Poppy, you ban Poppy, and it does.
You ban Poppy, and you beat the other two. Pink City can never beat Fielder Rush, fan. As long as you like can kill a Gangplank when he hits the board, you're pretty much just going to win. Like just picture in your head how a game against Pink City goes up. And then picture playing Kindly Tavern Keeper on turn 3, right? Like, it's really good. Vile Feast is insane against them. You have Avalanche and Ravine, which are really good. You have Grasp. You're just gaining a bunch of life. And for a deck that deals one at a time, like, it's not very good.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Uh-huh. Let's talk about Deech's lineup. So he also had Poppy Ziggs. I guess first give some thoughts on Poppy Ziggs. That was like, has broken out in the last week or so to be like one of the most dominant decks.
Yeah, it's very strong. It uses Poppy and Ziggs as just stats. Like, they're just beat sticks. And then it has like the Mayor. I think it plays like the Mayor Telescope thing as well.
Yeah.
Mayor just as like, it plays at least Mayor. Yeah. And then it might not play Telescope. Yeah, you're right. Basically, it's just like cards that generate value when they hit the board. Mayor is not the like engine that it is in the tree decks or even like the Poppy Rally decks. It's mostly just there to draw a card to be a body, and maybe discount a Poppy or something. And yeah, Ziggs and Poppy are played purely for stat lines. The real power of the deck comes from the hole in the format that they're exploiting with no life gain. Basically, they hit you for like 8 and you die. Like, that's it. Because, they have things like Stone Stackers, Tenor. That's pushing through damage. That's Reach. They have Decimates, Pokesticks, and Noxian Fervors, full sets of all three. Really hard to just, like, keep damage from hitting your face because most of these things aren't really interactable. Like, the format right now does not interact with Decimate in any kind of way. And so they just, like, cast enough of these things, you get hit enough with Impact, and you took a couple damage from their 1-drops, like, all of a sudden, you're just dead, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, they just catch you eventually. Okay, and then what about Plunder and Action Sivir, two of the more popular decks over the last couple seasons, but falling off like a little bit in popularity after Worlds, it seemed. How did those two... I would think that they would struggle against the burn decks, but Deech was able to beat the burn lineup twice in the semis and the finals.
Yeah, I feel like they would. I feel like Poppy Ziggs would be tough, and we know Draven Scion is tough for both Plunder and Sivir Akshan. Although these Draven Scion lists are different than the ones What Am I and myself ran. We were on very heavy on Aloof Travelers and less heavy on the early game. And so Aloof makes the Plunder matchup much better because you hit the champions and Dreadways, which is like,
right.
Like if you could just take a Sejuani out of the hand, you're like, yes, right? And Sivir Akshan, I know struggles into Demacia. I'm pretty sure it should struggle into things like Pink City and Poppy Ziggs as well, but maybe I just don't know. To be honest, I think people just wanted to play new stuff. Like Plunder and Sivir Akshan were proved to be some of the best decks in the format still at Worlds, but we've had them for a while.
Yeah.
So, new stuff like Poppy Ziggs was pretty new. Poppy Ziggs came out right after we had to submit deck lists for Worlds, so no one got to play with them in a tournament until ours, right? Pretty much.
Right.
Ping City showed up at Worlds. That came out like 2 days before we had to submit deck lists. So, like, these decks are new. They're exciting. People want to try them out. And a community tournament is a great place to do that. So I think you see a rise of those. People, I think, will fall back to a little bit more what they're comfortable on seasonals. So maybe expect more Plunders, expect more Silver Auction Demasias. TF Swain's probably going to be there, stuff like that. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I've seen, speaking of falling back on things, that's people tend to do that. They're just like, you know what, we'll just screw it. Whatever's really powerful, we're ripping that. Scion Draven has been on a tear on the ladder recently. Have you seen
insane.
This?
Yeah, it's
like
so good.
59% win percentage or something.
It's disgusting.
Like,
yeah, it's really good.
I don't understand though. But why? Like, it wasn't that like it's been out for forever, right? Like,
Well, Zoe Nami was like a direct counter to it. But Zoe Nami has fallen off pretty hard. People learned how to play against Zoe Nami, and decks are now more prepared for it than they were before. And so we're just seeing less of it. Like, if Zoe Nami was more popular on ladder, Scion Draven would not be nearly as good as it is. But it also like has almost a free win against its noxious PNZ counterpart, Caitlyn Draven, and a lot of other decks. Like, a lot of decks just can't deal with Scion.
Yeah, he's a big boy. What about Darkness, which was a deck that like we had kind of written off and like did okay at Worlds.
Did okay with one person at Worlds.
Yeah, that's why I said I hope everyone understands that like it did very well for that one person, but only one person played it, so it's not like
the deck's good. It's good. It has some life gain, which is important right now. It's not bad. It is also a deck that wants to ban Poppy. So that's another deck I was considering bringing for my lineup because I want to ban Poppy, and then I want decks that are strong outside of it. It tends to now I think we're approaching more of an actual good list for Darkness, because before Worlds we had a bunch of random lists that I think were really poorly constructed, a lot of really bad numbers and cards that shouldn't have been in there, missing some important cards. But now, like, the standard-ish list has like 2 stress defense, 2 copies of Minimorph, which I think is really important in such a Scion-dominated environment. Stress testing, not stress testing, I say that every single time. Stress defense, the one that first makes your guy 1/6 or their guy 1/6. It doubles as like a removal spell for like Scion or like Gangplank or Sejuani or whatever, right? It buys you time, and then also it doubles as a way to keep Vagar alive against the removal decks, which is like really important right now.
Yes, I've had that happen. That's super annoying. We're like, aha, kill it, and they're like,
nope. Yeah, and then like a missed call, and they always have it every time. So yeah, Darkness I think is totally fine.
What's holding you back from playing Darkness? Why are you not snapping it off?
It relies pretty heavily on hitting Twisted Catalyzer and Vagar. If you don't have a way to tick up Darkness, you are likely going to lose the game. And if you do tick up Darkness, you are very much more favored than you were before.
When it hits turn 6 through 8 and their Darkness only deals 2 damage, you're like, you can have
I
some
do
of
not
those.
care about anything you're doing. Yeah.
But when they're hitting for 8 and stuff, you're like, that's
or even 4 or 3, right? Like, that's such a big difference.
Stuff, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I might play it. I don't have any aversion to it, really.
What are some other decks you're considering?
Feel the Rush, like we talked about. I could run Fizz Nami. I think that deck's quite fun. It's pretty good. It's not as good as Zoe Nami.
Yeah, talk to me about Fizz Nami. You played it in our tournament.
I did. I played Shellfolk, Fizz Nami, Zoe Lee. And it never lost a game for me. I think it went 3-0. And it was good. It was good. It runs elusives, and it doubles up on kind of the prank aspect to like kind of keep your opponent off balance while simultaneously pumping your units. It's less tall and more wide, if that makes sense. Like, Zoe Nami's very tall.
You're playing a lot of cheap units, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Zoe Nami likes to go big on one unit, right? Mm-hmm. Fizz Nami likes to go bigger on multiple units. I'm playing like a copy of Mind Meld. The deck is very fun. I did not bring a refined list at all. I basically took the list that like Pushby made when we started Worlds testing and just submitted it. And I was like, it's fine. And so like, there's things I would change. Like, I'm running like Kelp Maidens, and I'm not sure I want to be running Kelp Maidens. I have like some Make It Rains and some line 'em ups, and I would like to change the ratios. And yeah, just it wasn't a refined list, but the deck did quite well for me.
Gotcha. Anything else?
I'm sure there is. Like, I could play a Targon whatever, but the problem with that is I can't run Zoe into things, and Zoe is literally the only Targon champion that matters.
Yeah.
The win rates for Targon champions are like Zoe, 51%, and then it drops to like 34%.
Yeah. You can crush some like burn aggro players. I've played some Tarek and some Leona.
Yeah,
and
you just beat the burn decks, and you lose to
like,
everything
star
else. Yeah.
shaping. Remember this card?
Boo. Yeah, here's a lifesteal unit. Here's another one. But you do lose to other stuff.
And then I was gonna say you lose a lot of stuff like Tree, for instance. Talk to me about Tree. Where's Tree at right now? I feel like people have kind of like forgotten about it a little bit. I've seen it on the ladder still quite a bit, but it's not like people aren't talking about it. I don't really like hear about it too much.
So with the Rise of Darkness, Tree is getting better. Tree, I think, was a horrible pick for Worlds because everyone was so high on Poppy Rally and Sivarakshan Demacia and Caitlyn Draven. And so, like, Tree
all
struggles.
Those are bad matchups? Jesus.
Yes.
I wonder
Yes,
Tree's
it
not
is.
doing
They
great.
are. No, it's not. But Tree does better into Scion than the other Poppy decks because it plays things like Minimorph and stuff like that, and just generally does a little bit better. It can stall the game out. I'm not a fan of Tree. I'm going to be honest. I don't like the deck very much.
I want it to be good so badly, but
it's not bad. It's totally playable, 100%.
Oh, it dunks on some things. Yeah, sometimes it just straight dunks. Also, like even decks that are supposed to be good against it, like Caitlyn, Draven, maybe they just don't draw scores.
They just don't get there. Or maybe you just have a Mayor into Poppy game and just kill people, right?
Yeah, that happens sometimes too.
Yeah, not a fan. And then you're going to see more Scorched Earth decks at seasonals, I think, than you do on ladder. People are going to be bringing Caitlyn Draven. People are going to be playing TF Swain because they know how to play it. People are going to be bringing TF Gangplank because they know how to play it, right? Like these Scorched Earth decks that you don't really see anymore on ladder are going to be out in full force.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see anything else? I mean, I think it's going to be pretty open, but like, what about like Turbo Thralls? Where's stuff?
I think we'll see some Thralls. Yeah, Thralls I think is quite well positioned. I just don't like to play it because when I turbo thrall, I don't turbo. I just thrall.
You just thrall.
I literally count down from 8 because my hands suck. Yeah.
Okay. In 8 turns, I will have 1/8/8.
Yep. That happened to me multiple times during seasonals. So yeah, I tend to stay away from turbo thralls. I don't know. It doesn't feel very good it feels really bad when I lose with that deck, and it doesn't even feel that good when I win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, trust me, I know what you mean. Okay, what about some other like crazy outliers? What about like Soraka Tom Kench?
I think that deck's really good. I think Soraka Tom Kench is very good. Yeah.
Tell me more.
It's very good into Scion.
Okay.
It struggles against Poppy.
See that too.
And it's very good against the other random unit decks. Like it struggles against I had something in my head. It struggles against the straight up burn decks, like Ziggs Poppy, because if you get Broadback Protector down, you're like fine. But if you can't, you're gonna die. But you usually want to ban Poppy anyway, so like whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
But against things like Pink City, you do very well because they red card you and you're like, thanks, man.
Helping me out.
That. Good looking out, dude.
Appreciate you. Fist bump him out.
Mm-hmm. You do struggle against Caitlyn Draven, which like I know no one's seen Caitlyn Draven on ladder for a while, but trust me, it's going to be at seasonals because that's the only time you can play Caitlyn Draven. It's incredible in tournaments because you can ban Scion, and it's horrible on ladder because Scion's everywhere. So
isn't Caitlyn Draven rough into like the burn decks though?
Yes, it is. And that's another reason why you won't see it as much. But I still think people are going to bring it quite a bit.
Yeah. It's just a workforce,
It's
just and like when we talk about it having bad matchups, like it still just wins.
Yeah,
it's still just like sometimes especially also now that it's not Ezreal, now it's Caitlyn, like you got a lot more tempo, aggressive draws. Able to play that game a little bit more. What about like Overwhelm?
I will never play that deck. I don't know if it's good. I don't care.
Next deck.
Yep.
There was one more
Overwhelm
that I had.
into Mini-Morph seems like kind of...
I guess there's not that many Mini-Morphs running around.
There really isn't.
What about Ash LeBlanc or something? Ash...
Into Burn?
Different Ash decks or LeBlanc decks. Yeah,
that suffers from the same thing as Caitlyn Draven, where it can't heal, but it's like way worse about it. And could you like I don't know, just the thought of playing like the 5-1 and then the Frostbite 3-1 and getting Make It Rain makes me never want to play that.
Yeah. What else is there out there? Puff Cap decks were never quite good enough.
No, they weren't quite good enough.
I love them so much. I want them to be good so bad.
I know. That's about it, I think. Nothing else really pops to mind. You know, there's a bunch of different Poppy decks. I'm not going to go over all of them. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of things, and I think this seasonal is quite open. You can play pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be a good time.
I'm actually gonna stream it and just like have my cam on and just be like, "Sup, everyone? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. Oh no, I should have done that. Oh, what they got? Like actually,
that's what I do every seasonal.
All right. I love for anyone that doesn't know, since Bay just talks to himself when he's playing the game naturally, which shocker makes you a good streamer. I love that they asked you at Worlds just to confirm that you weren't talking.
They had to confirm that I wasn't cheating at Worlds.
I'm just a crazy person.
Yeah,
like, I'm just talking out loud here.
We weren't allowed to stream to anybody, right? But I'm streaming them my footage so that they could have my little thingamajig in the corner. And I still sit there, and it's just so naturally for me to be like, okay, well, if I do this, then they respond with Sharp Sight, then I need to have this hush ready, so I can't do it this way, I have to do it this way. Okay, let's do it, right? And so, but in the footage, it looks like I'm talking to someone. So yeah, they sent me a Discord message. They're like, hey man, just want to confirm you have no one on the phone, right? It's just you playing. People are worried. I'm like, no, it's just me, man.
Yeah, it always looks bad when people are doing that. Whenever my opponents are doing it, I'm like, what the fuck is going on over there? Mm-hmm. Who are they talking to?
Yeah,
I've had that happen so many times at tournaments.
Yeah, but it makes streaming and YouTube so much easier.
Yeah, have you just always been that way, or is that something that kind of just like happened?
I've always been that way. Just helps me think.
Like, I don't get it. I'm the exact opposite, which is terrible for streaming on YouTube. Whenever I'm like, when I'm in the zone, I'm like, I feel like I'm thinking like in my chest somewhere. Like I'm going so deep into my brain that I'm like, just like gone. My brain like leaves my body. It's like somewhere else. And I'm like in the zone. Like I
had a lot of siblings. So like you could only play one at a time of games growing up.
Oh.
So I would just talk to them about what I was doing.
Sure.
Because like if I talked to them about what I was doing, they felt like they were included, and then they didn't want their turn, and I could just keep playing.
Yeah.
We used to. Do you ever play Crash Bandicoot?
I didn't, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so yeah, it's the platformer, right, with Crash, and then there's the mask that like follows you around. Yeah. So the mask doesn't do anything, but each mask is a life. So if you die and you have a mask, the mask revives you. You can find other like more masks, right, and get more like lives. And so I was playing. We played Crash Bandicoot a lot. I'm sitting there playing. It's not a 2-player game. But my little brother wanted to play it. I didn't want him to play because I wanted to keep playing. So I plugged in the other controller and I told him, "All right, Keaton, I'm going to give you the most important job. You're going to be the mask, right? So if I die, you got to revive me. It's super important, okay? Because otherwise I'd stay dead." And he's like. So we're playing the game. Right? And I die, and I'm like, "Go, Keaton, go now!" And he's like,
"Do it!"
Right? Like pressing all the buttons, and I revive, and then you just got to compliment him, right? You're like, "Yeah, nice, you nailed it. Yeah, now we can beat this level," right? And you just keep playing. And so every time we play Crash Bandicoot, he would ask me to be the mask.
Oh my god!
The controller's not even plugged in half the time. Just like,
okay, I got you. I got you, fam.
Yep.
Oh
good
my
times.
God. Dude, that's so funny. Mm-hmm. And look, it's paying dividends.
Yeah, and now it makes streaming so much easier.
I get distracted. If I talk out loud, I'm like, I distract myself almost. Like, who said that? Like
I get distracted if I don't. I hop around too much. So a lot of times what will happen is I'll come up with an idea and I'll discount that idea for whatever reason. Oh, this is a good idea. Oh wait, I can't do this because of that, right? And then I'll go through 4, 5, 6, 7 other ideas, right? And try to like follow them all the way down. Like if there's a branching play I make, I go through all my options, right? I decide this one's really bad. even though it looked really good. And then I go through all these options, and then I think about too many things at once, and I get distracted, and I immediately go, this one looks good. And I do it, and then mess up because it was a bad decision, and I had already decided that, but I forgot because I went through so many other things.
I've done that, yeah.
So if I say it, I cannot do this because of this, then I won't do it, right?
That's a good point. I'm going to try doing that because I do that too. I'll start off with an idea, and then I'll go through, like, way down the rabbit hole, and I'll come back and be like, let's do this.
No, this looks really good.
No,
wait, I couldn't do it because of this. Yeah.
I forgot they had that thing on the board there. And yeah, because you come back to it, you forget some piece of key information. You're like, why aren't I doing this again?
Yep.
And then, oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, if you say it out loud, I could see how that would be like, you would remember it then, right?
Yeah.
Huh. All right,
it is tough. I don't tend to do it during. I do it a little bit during like paper tournaments, like IRL, like Magic events and stuff. I would still do that, but like less so. I would talk to the person. Would talk to them.
That's so distracting.
Yeah. Not for me, it's for them. Yeah. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, so you're doing this, which I think signifies that you might have one of these. So I could do this, but I'm not like, okay, you're lightning bolting my unit, which means you probably don't have another removal spell because I'm at 6 and you'd probably just save the lightning bolt to look for another lightning bolt in my face.
You actually say that?
I would just say this, yeah, and I'd be like, okay,
that would be
do this.
So disheartening.
Or I could do this.
He's reading my hand,
but I think I'm just gonna block
in
here.
Real time.
and yeah, that's just what I would do. Like. And I keep up like a friendly chit chat like the whole time.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do a very good job of that at Magic. One of my buddies did a very good job of like he would like touch a lot of the cards, like pick up his opponent's cards and read them, or, like his own cards, read them, and like it was very like distracting and disarming.
There's a lot of
same
like
time.
Little messaging things you could do in like IRL events, stuff like draw your card and immediately pick up your graveyard, signifying you drew Snapcaster Mage. I didn't, but I want you to think I did, right? Like that kind of stuff.
That's why I like playing online because it just gets rid of a lot of that.
Yeah, you don't get to do that. But yeah, some people find it distracting, but I find that like I'm so friendly with all my opponents because I'm just there to have a good time and like shoot shit and stuff. So like I'll just sit there and I'll talk to them about their previous matches and stuff, and it's not a distraction for me. But a lot of people get lost.
Yeah, I've had that happen. Also, I had a lot of people just be really like snarky.
Like, that happens too. Yeah, I still talk to them.
I just keep going.
It's less talking to them and more talking at them then at that point. Yeah,
dude. Okay, I got a quick story about Magic and do you know morph cards? For anyone that doesn't know, a morph card is a card that you put face down and it becomes like a 2/2, and then you can like flip it up to like have an effect.
Yeah, but you don't know what your opponent doesn't know what it is until you.
Long story short, I was playing a tournament. And my opponent had 2 morphs, and I knew they had one of them was like a bad one. It was going to kill my important creature, and so I was like sitting there thinking about which one I should do. And I passed the turn, and they go like, "Okay, end of your turn," and they go to lift up their morph, and they're like, kill that. Oh wait, like I don't have enough mana or something. Put it back down, and then I was like, "No, fuck you. No one's that dumb. Like kill the other one." Shoot it up there, that dumb.
Oh my god! They next leveled you.
Next leveled me on accident. I was like, and I lost the semifinals of a PTQ because of that.
Okay, darn it.
I was like, no. I was like, for sure they were trying to game me there, right?
Yeah, I have taken things for signals and thought I was really smart, and then lost because of it. In Runeterra, Magic, all of it. Yeah, I'm like, oh, this means they can't have this because if they had this, they'd want to save this. For if I do this, and then they just don't, and you're like, oh, now I feel dumb. Oops.
Anywho, all right. Well, we should probably start wrapping this up. So one, go check out masteringruneterra.com.
Yeah,
we've got new articles every single day. Probably have like 2 coming out every day for the next week at least. We have like a huge backlog of articles right now. Come play in our tournaments Saturday and Sunday. You on Saturday. NA on Sunday, win some cash money, and we will see you guys also on Monday for the Runeterra show. Good luck in seasonals. Come check us out on the Discord, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Bay, you got any closing thoughts, or maybe like one word of wisdom for you for someone trying to do good at seasonals?
One word of wisdom for someone trying to do good at seasonals.
Yeah, if you could tell someone one thing.
Stop overthinking your lineup. Focus more on what you can play well and less about lineup synergies.
I like it. All right, that's it for us. Have a great week. We'll see you guys next week. Peace. Okay, don't hang up. Click